Hey everyone, welcome to the show. First of all, lots of news today, but the first is the biggest news that broke last night. A grand jury has indicted 18 people for their alleged actions attempting to overturn the 2020 election. The list includes Trump's fake electors, some of his closest allies. So 11 are fraudulent electors. They are Tyler Boyer. Boyer is an executive at the right-wing group called Turning Point USA. That's the Charlie Kirk enterprise. He's also a committee member of the Republican National Committee. And then a woman named Nancy Cottle has been charged. She was the chairperson for Trump's Arizona fake electors. Jake Hoffman was charged. He is a current sitting state senator in Arizona. Anthony Kern is also an Arizona state senator currently. He has been charged. A man named Jim Lamon has been charged. He is a former candidate for the U.S. Senate. Robert Montgomery was charged as a fake elector. Montgomery is the former chair of the Cochise County Republican Committee. Samuel Moorhead is another person who's been charged as a fake elector. Moorhead is the former leader of the Gila, I think that's how you pronounce it, Gila or Gila, County Republican Party. Lorraine Pellegrino was also charged. She was the secretary for Trump's fake electors. Greg Safston has been indicted as well. Safston is the former executive director of the Arizona Republican Party. Kelly Ward has been indicted. I've mentioned her many times before. She was the chairperson of the Arizona Republican Party when all of this went down. Her husband, Michael Ward, has also been charged. He is a GOP activist. He's also one of the fake electors. So each of them have been charged with 9 criminal counts: conspiracy, fraudulent schemes and artifices, fraudulent schemes and practices, and 6 counts of forgery. So the fake electors have said, oh no, we only signed these documents in case Trump won one of his legal battles. So the prosecutors say a lot of them made statements that contradict that excuse. Even after Trump had lost all of his election cases, some of them were still pressuring their state lawmakers and the vice president, Mike Pence, to overturn the election. And on top of that, you had conversations going on about how they were going to use one of Trump's election lawsuits as cover for signing these documents. So it was the opposite. They weren't doing it in case he won one of his election lawsuits. They filed an election lawsuit so that they could sign these documents and get away with it. Now, in addition to these fake electors, there were 7 Trump attorneys and aides who have also been indicted. They're also all related to this fake electors plot. They've all been charged with the same 9 counts. And the most serious, I should mention, comes with a maximum 5-year prison term. It's all the usual suspects. There are a couple of fun new names, though. So Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, was indicted. America's defendant, Rudy Giuliani, of course. Also, attorney Jenna Ellis, who, as I'm sure you know, she's already pleaded guilty in Georgia. Soon-to-be disbarred attorney John Eastman was indicted. And Trump campaign aide Mike Roman has also been charged. All of those people that I just mentioned, as you all know, have been charged in Georgia. The final 2, though, who I'm most excited about, they haven't faced consequences until now. So first is Trump attorney Christina Bobb, and then last but not least, sleazebag Trump attorney and campaign advisor Boris Epshteyn. Epstein, recently got a slap on the wrist after he had been charged for touching 2 women in a bar inappropriately. So here's why I'm excited about Bob. She is finally getting what's coming to her. It is long overdue. In June of last year, the Arizona Central News outlet reported that Christina Bobb was exchanging text messages with Cyber Ninja's CEO, Doug Logan. I know it's a blast from the past. You haven't heard about him in a while. She texted back and forth with him 2,000 times while his company was conducting that ridiculous audit in Maricopa County. So, as you all recall, Bob is an attorney. She's a licensed attorney. But during that period of time when she was texting with him, she was a TV host for One America News Network. And she wasn't communicating with him about stories. She wasn't just like, oh, getting feedback and reporting on the election so-called fraud. According to the messages that have now been revealed, because outside entities sued to get these messages. And he still, by the way, hasn't turned over all of them. There are some that he's holding back because he claims they had nothing to do with the audit. So Bob, in these messages, was encouraging Doug Logan to lie, and she acted as a secret back channel to Donald Trump during all of this. So in one text exchange with Logan, he expressed to her that he had concerns because he was running out of money to complete this audit because it was taking longer than he thought it would. So Bob advised him, oh, don't tell anyone. She wrote, quote, this is very nice and sincere. It will definitely leak to the press. I recommend you don't send it. It could actually invite lawsuits since it's an admission of breach of contract. I know it's painful and slow and difficult, but I recommend hanging in there. The audit is not over. If you have to hang around, so do they. For the money, I mean. I recommend not making any statements in writing until this is done. Then, in another text from Bob to Logan, she passed along concern directly from Trump. Bob said, quote, had a detailed discussion with 45 today. We're losing people, Doug. We need a good statement to encourage our base. I'll spare you the details, but we're losing people. So this reporter, quote unquote, is telling him, you need to go out there and you need to say something positive about your audit, that you're finding stuff or you're uncovering fraud or whatever she was getting at. And then she was encouraging him not to cooperate with congressional investigators. So the Arizona Republic News outlet reached out to Bob and they asked her about all of this. And she said, I never told him to lie. Bob told the outlet, quote, I may have told him not to send the letter, but that's not lying. I have never advised anyone to lie about anything. No, Christina, that's called a lie by omission. When you know something and you don't tell people, that's a lie by omission. And then Bob helped with coordination and communication between Logan and other people involved with Trump's campaign. So like Rudy Giuliani, state officials even who wanted to conduct their own audits, like in Wisconsin. And the new indictment talks about Bob taking information from Rudy Giuliani that could be used to cast doubt about the election and feeding it to the Arizona Senate president. So here she is. Bob is going on TV every day. She is spewing out BS election fraud, conspiracy theories. She's claiming all this time, oh, this is fair and balanced journalism. I'm just reporting the facts. All the while, she is influencing the facts. She was secretly communicating with Trump and others in his circle to try to help them overturn the election and get the MAGA base all spun up about non-existent election fraud. I mean, it's one thing to communicate with Trump and then report on it and go, I spoke with the former president today, and here's what he had to say, or I guess he was still president at the time. Here's what he said, and here's what he thinks about this, election fraud or so-called fraud, and the audit going on, or what have you. But she didn't do that. She was the back channel to this guy conducting the fraudit. And she was secretly communicating with Logan, the man who is conducting the audit, and she is directing him on how to proceed. She is pure filth. She deserves to lose her law license. She deserves to lose everything, like Eastman, Giuliani, all the others. For an attorney, and especially a former Marine, she has no honor whatsoever. Imagine if a CNN or MSNBC host did that they were back channeling and communicating with a company, conducting an audit for Biden if he had lost the 2020 election. And the Arizona Central News outlet pointed out in their article, quote, "The Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics specifically warns reporters to maintain their independence from sources. Bobb's position as an advisor and conduit for funds allowed her access to Logan around the clock, including at the Coliseum where other reporters were restricted to the press booth, and was a clear violation of that code." I mean, keep in mind, guys, I'm not a journalist, right? I'm an opinion host on YouTube. I am not a journalist that works for a news network. I have had conversations with January 6th defendants where they have asked for my opinion on what I think they should do in their case. I have refused to offer my opinion because I don't want to sway the case that I am then reporting on. And I'm not even a journalist, technically. And she's out doing this. So anyway, as for this new indictment, it also lists Trump as an unindicted co-conspirator in this whole, election or elector scheme. So let's hope one of these people finally flips on him and then they can indict Trump as well, because that would be another state case that can't, be wiped away, that even if Trump wins the presidency, he can't get rid of it. He can't shut it down. And I want to point out, too, and give some credit where credit is due, the attorney general who conducted this investigation and finally pulled the trigger on these charges, she's a former Republican. Chris Mays left the Republican Party because of all this MAGA lunacy and because the Republicans refused to do what's right. And she won her attorney general race by less than 300 votes. So I think she deserves a lot of credit. She is a woman of principles and ethics. It proves, yes, there are some good Republicans still out there, albeit, she's left the party now. But her predecessor refused to press charges. He was a Trump stooge. And so that's why this got dragged out a little bit, because he was in charge initially. So I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you possibly can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.